Please turn off your video mode and turn off your microphone as well. There are still some people who didn't switch off their microphone. Please do the same. I'm making requesting total pass to please take over. Murda, we couldn't see you. You are the host now.
Okay, okay.
We couldn't see you. Please mute the people and you can start. Yeah. Thank you.
Can you see my presentation?
Yeah. Yes, surely, sir. You can start.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you. Yes, clearly.
You can hear me. Okay. So I am very thankful to the organizer of ELAN 2020, and they are organizing a series of webinars.
Please hold on. There is sound. Please go.
Strategy and innovation studies. So topic of my presentation is application and open access to knowledge. Developing world, India and India. So in my presentation, I would like to open access. Open access initiative in India. So open access refers to online access to research outputs such as open access is open to all with no access fees. There are two main rules making research outputs. So one is in open access and then full open access. Where authors publish their article freely accessible institutional or specialist online archive can you pause? There is some coming. Can you pause it, Pini? Still some background noise is coming. I am continuing. So you can see that research communication is linked to open access, because when you are linking a research to open access resources,
Sudhanshu, please switch off your mic.
recognition, more citation, and more accessibility
Mr.
of
Sudhanshu.
this knowledge.
Dr. Nath,
Yeah,
Doctor, please, could you hold on for a moment? We need to switch off the microphone of the people who are speaking not didn't listen to,
yeah.
because it's very problematic to listen whatever you are saying. Could you please just for a while? May I request please all of you to please switch off their microphone? Only please point out who are they. Only can you listen to me?
Dr. Santosh Kumar.
Dr. Santosh Kumar.
Dr. Santosh Kumar, Dr. Kapil Hada.
CBSE even asked this person to switch off his. Dr. Santosh Kumar, Dr. Kopil, or whoever else. Either switch off your microphone on the
Dr. Kapil Singh Hada.
either or switch off your TV in the background.
Dr. Kapil Singh Hada. Neelam Hajra. Altu White. Sudhanshu Shekhar.
अरे मिस्टर सुब्रमण्यम शेखर भट्टाचार्य शुभ्रांशु बाबू ফোনটাকে অফ করুন whoever is listening to Hindi or news, please switch off the either TV or your microphone. Whatever is convenient for you. Because of only one of this person, our presenter couldn't start. Dr. Kopil Singh has you. Unupta, please switch off the microphone of Dr. Kopil Singh Hada person. He's coming at DH. Coming at DH. I think disturbance is coming from his end. You are host now, you can. No, I am not host here. I am not host here. Dr. Das is the host. Can you do it? I mean, can you centrally put off the microphone of all? Can you do it? I will suggest you to please be on. Yeah, switch off everyone's microphone.
Okay.
Yeah. Now it is pure bliss. Sorry, sir. Please, you can start. I suggest you to please start from the beginning, please. Could you?
Okay. There is no background music, background noise right now. So I am starting again from my first slide.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I am very thankful to the organizer of eLand 2020, the webinar series, and this is being organized by PB College in Asansol. And topic of my presentation is research communications and open access to knowledge. So you know that in research communications, we engage with the research publications, research data. Also, publish research data, research publications, and other items to different mode, including open access and non-open access mode. So in open access mode, can you hear me? All?
Clearly. We can hear you. Clearly, we can hear you.
So in open access mode, we publish those materials to online, freely accessible mode. And in non-open access mode, we publish in journals or conferences where there is a fee to get the access of the content. So they are engaged in research communication in both ways. Any literature review or literature search, as well as for literature publishing. So we are either distributor of knowledge or we are creator of knowledge. So both way we are contributing to the research communications. And open access is one part of the research communication where we publish all our research publications and research data to open access mode. So open access it refers to unrestricted online access to research outputs such as research articles and books. Open access content is open to all with no access fees. There are two main routes to making research outputs openly accessible. Those are green open access route and gold open access route. Green open access, where an author publishes their article in any journal, then self-archives a copy in a freely accessible institutional or specialist online archive known as a repository or on a website. This also refers to the self-archiving of an article in a non-commercial subject repository or non-commercial institutional repository. We know about different repositories for self-archiving or published or unpublished materials. So similarly, we know about different open access journals. And these are also called gold open access because we are publishing directly to the open access journal where an author publishes their article in an open access journal. And we also know about platinum open access where that means the permanent and free access to published scientific works for readers and with no publication fee for the author. So 100% fee on both sides for the reader as well as for the authors. Authors are not charged article processing fees or publication fees or no fees whatsoever. So in gold open access, we are seeing that some publishers charge article processing fee or article processing charge, or it is also known as PC. So, but in platinum open access, we don't see any charge for the authors. So we have different journals in like Annals of Library and Information Studies, Decitop Journal of Library Information Technology. Those are platinum open access because they made their contents accessible online freely, and also there is no charge for publishing. So these two are platinum open access journals. But in gold open access, know about eLife or Public Library of Science Plus journals. So they charge significant amount to get your work published in those journals. So they may charge per article some $1,000 or €1,000. So this way they sustain their gold open access model. Collectively, we know about the open access publishing. Well, open access is near form of scholarly publishing. Many open access journals complied with well-established peer-reviewed processes and maintain high publishing standards. So, when we want to publish our article, we submit our article to any journal, and this article goes for peer review. And there is well-established peer review process. There are kind of blind peer review or single blind or double blind peer review processes. We also maintain publishing standards. That means that you have to maintain some standards in writing when you are submitting any article to any reputed journal. So in self-archiving, it is an act of depositing a free copy of an electronic document online in order to provide open access to it. Usually we submit our preprint, that is pre-publication copy, or postprint, that is post-publication copy, to in open access repositories. But some open access journals also insist that published version should be deposited to self-archiving processes. So this way we self-archive our preprint, published version, or post-print version of our research article. And open access is collective, where open science is also the whole ecosystem where it represents a new approach to scientific process based on cooperative work and new ways of diffusion of knowledge by using digital technologies and new collaborative tools. So this is the definition of European Commission, and OECD said about open science that to make the primary outputs of publicly funded research results, publications, and research data publicly accessible in digital format with no or minimal restriction. So you know about the research data and publicly funded research data. That is, when you are getting any research grant from any research funding agencies like Department of Science and Technology or maybe UGC, they are providing research grants to the researchers. ICSSR also gives research funds to the researchers. All these are public institutions, and when you are getting research support from the public institution, you are utilizing the taxpayers' money, and utilizing taxpayer money, that means you have to publish your research findings through open access mode so that taxpayer can also know about your research. So open science is about extending the principles of openness to the whole research cycle, fostering sharing and collaboration as early as possible, thus entailing a systematic change to the way science and research is done. So this is kind of ecosystem where every other things are included. Open science represents an approach to research that is collaborative, transparent, and accessible. A wide range of activities comes under the umbrella of open science, that including open access publishing, open data, open peer review, and open education. So you know about peer review, that is when you are submitting any research paper to any research any scholarly journal or any scholarly conference, where reviewers also give their comments. So when these comments or reviews are being made open, that is called open peer review. So in open science, we get all kinds of activities, open educational resources, where educational contents for the lifelong learners as well as for the learners in educational institutions or school education. So all these resources, all open educational resources, because they are available freely all through online mode, and also can be shared or reused, all these materials. So in Global Open Access Portal maintained by UNESCO, we know about open science in different terms, that open science is the movement to make scientific research and data accessible to all. It includes practices such as publishing open scientific research, campaigning for open access, and generally making it easier to publish, communicate scientific knowledge, and other ways to make science more transparent and accessible during the research process. This includes open science notebook, citizen science, aspect of open source software, crowd-funded research projects. So you know about citizen science. That is, sometimes we also get to know about sky watching, bird watching, and where citizen scientists are involved in counting birds or that observing different astronomical features, phenomenon, and similar way, citizen science also being practiced in area of environmental science, ecological science, maintaining ecological and biodiversity practices. So this way citizen science is practiced, and we know about crowd-funded research projects that is funded by the general public. So when you are getting information that someone is seeking fund for developing certain uh, solution or products like vaccines, so we sometimes fund that research projects directly without bothering to going to government agencies where we can also get the funding, but it requires significant time to get the funding proposal approved. So the research projects now started because it reduces the funding process where funding is quickly being disseminated. So why open science? That to overcome the knowledge divides, we need more cooperation across disciplines and across borders to help governments develop more effective and inclusive policies, north and south, international networks, open data resources, co-creation of knowledge, open access to publishing and software. These are all vital to achieving this. We know about the knowledge divide. So sometimes we call about Western countries having greater scientific access to scientific knowledge. But in developing countries, they don't have access to knowledge. So that's why we need to have more open science or open access so that everybody can get access to knowledge. So when we're promoting open science, we need to promote openness at different stages of research process. So we start our research from the hypothesis, and then we go for data collection, then processing, storing, preservation, publication, review, and then again new research gets started with hypothesis. So in every stage, we can make use of open science and open access. Like for storing, we can make use of metadata open licenses. For processing, we can make use of open source software. For reuse, we keep proper citations and including data citations for the open research data. And for publication, we make use of open licenses like Creative Commons licenses, and also we can deposit our research findings in institutional repositories as well as subject repositories. So we see that different open science facets. We also talked about them earlier, including open notebooks. Open notebooks means when you are doing some laboratory experiments, you maintain some notebook, or maybe in field work also, we maintain some notebooks, and we can make those notebooks accessible to other researchers through online mode. So there are different school of thoughts for open science, that is infrastructure, collaboration, tools, public engagement, public citizen science, science blogs, measurements such as algoritmic tools, peer review, citation tools, and also democratic knowledge, that is open access, open data, open code, and also universal access to knowledge. And pragmatic, efficient, and goal-oriented knowledge generation. So nowadays, people are talking about different solutions for COVID-19. So where we can develop develop knowledge for the betterment of human life. So similarly, we go for open access because we get more exposure for our research work, and practitioners can apply your findings. So if you are library practitioners, so other library practitioners in our country, they can use your methodology or your findings for their own development. So open access also helps in getting higher citation, and your research can influence policy making. So sometimes we develop some modules for policymakers from our research findings, and that is called evidence-based policy making. So we collect our evidence from the laboratory work or field work, and we can keep the evidence in order to influence the policymakers. The public can access your findings, and uh, those findings are compliant with the grant rules. So if you're getting any public grant like CSIR or ICSSR or DST, so you have to comply with the grant rules, and taxpayers also get value for money because they are also able to access your research findings. Researchers in developing countries can see your work because when you are publishing your work to open access mode, other researchers in other developing countries, they can access your work freely. So open in order to facilitate collaboration, open in order to accelerate discovery, increase access to education, stimulate innovation, exchange knowledge, and improve reproducibility. So we talk about reproducibility, where in scientific experiment, we conduct laboratory experiment, and if one laboratory produces one result, another laboratory should produce similar result. So this is called reproducibility of knowledge. So in scientific research area, reproducibility is one factor for getting one research work published in reputed journals like Nature or Science. When you are submitting a research article and saying that this experiment can be reproduced, then it will improve the scientific knowledge. Open access, in order to scientific peer-reviewed publications, we have different benefits like good for science, good for the economy, and good for the society. The open science makes research available to individual citizens and to non-profit organizations, and this will improve transparency in your research. So we know about different benefits like increased visibility, increased citation rate, drives innovation, global impact, public access to knowledge, and comply with funders policy. So I talked about them earlier also. So this is another narrative of the benefit. So we see that there are different, if you draw the Venn diagram, you can see that there are contents. You can see full access peer-reviewed contents as well as open access peer-reviewed contents. And some contents are free for authors because authors don't have to pay anything, like Diamond Open Access or Green Open Access. And some contents are free for readers, like green open access, gold open access, but not sole access. And authors retain copyright in some contents. Like in open access mode, other than green open access or toll access, so all the content are available in Creative Commons license. So what are the impact of the open access? Demonstrating achievements, open access for the institutions. So reputation building, open access for the authors, and advancing knowledge, open access for readers. So this way you can see that 3 columns of impact. So where readers also getting benefited, getting access to scientific literature, and for authors, open access helps in reputation building, and for institutions, they can showcase their achievements. So we can see that timeline of open access to open access is almost 30 years old. 1991, we see that arrival of archive.org repository, that is subject repository for computer science, physical science, and some other technological areas, science and technological areas, where researchers or scientists in those areas, they can self-archive their unpublished or preprint manuscript to archive.org. It started in 1991, and in 2000, so that is after 9 years, we can see that another repository, PubMed Central, was launched. So PubMed Central caters to the biomedical research, and that is also self-archiving basis. So one researcher can self-archive a preprint or any other manuscripts related to biomedical research. And also we see that release of ePrint software in 2000, and PLOS journals, they also launched open access journals 2000, and Biomed Central journals were also launched. So we see that green open access also repository launched, one green open access repository software also launched, and gold open access PLOS journals, Biomed Central journals were launched in single year in 2000 year. In 2001, we see that arrival of open journal system. And these open journal systems help that different institutions, different publishers in particularly developing countries to launch their open access journals. So some of the open access journals were earlier published as print journals. They are now migrating to open access journals through installing open journal system and providing access to all the e-journal contents to OJS system, and this is online release of all the journal contents. So issues and volumes are being made available from the OJS system. We also see that one international institution called Spark, which was launched in year 2002, and DSpace software was also launched in this particular year. DSpace also helped in building institutional and subject repositories in different institutions, including in India. DSpace and ePrints, these two softwares are frequently used by the institutions for building institutional repositories or subject repositories. And we also see that Creative Commons licenses were released in this particular year, 2002. So it helped in making all the contents available through open license. So Creative Commons license becomes de facto license for the open access journals as well as for the research publications coming from the institutions having research fundings. So any public funded research results should be available through open licensing. And in this particular year, we also see that Budapest Open Access Initiative, that is one declaration was made, and this declaration is also helped in development of open access in different institutions across first Europe, then other continents like America, and also in continents like Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So Budapest Open Access Initiative declaration was made in 2002, and we got Berlin Bethesda declaration in 2003. So, and also World Summit Information System Action Line launched, where open access scientific publications also part of the WSS actions lines. And we also see that QAJ was launched in 2003. So we get many things between 2000 to 2003. So in 2006, we can see that OpenDWAR, that is Directive of Open Repositories, launched, where we can search any repository available from different institutions or different subject repositories. And in 2007, Open Access Week celebration started, and in 2008, Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association was launched. So since 2000, so there are many initiatives across the world. How to make your research open access? You know about this. That is, if you want to publish in open access mode, you have to search for the open access journal. And if you have funding for the open access, you can go for the open access with gold route. And if you don't have funding for the open access, you can go for green route, where you can deposit your preprint or postprint version of your research to institutional or subject repositories. So there are many facets of self-archiving and open access publishing. And in open access publishing, researcher decides where to publish, and we have to see one resource which is called Sherpa Romeo for open access and self-archiving options available. So if you want to see whether any journal you want to publish and they are allowing self-archiving, you can go to this particular resource, Sherpa Romeo, and you can see every journal's policy, whether they are allowing self-archiving immediately or after some embargo period. So there may be some embargo period, 6 months or 12 months, depending on the subject areas. And after that embargo period, you can self-archive your published literature to institutional repository or subject repository. And you can also have option to publish in your scientific research through patents. So there are also options available for the intellectual property protection. And when you are publishing, you are not opting for the intellectual property protection because you are releasing the research results. But sometimes we go for patenting where we don't share the research results to other party, only to the patent office we share our research results. Until the patent is granted, we don't share any research results. And we can see that many advantages of open science movement that include data availability and accessibility of publicly funded scientific research outputs, and possibility of or rigorous peer review process, greater reproducibility and transparency of scientific works, and greater impact of scientific research. So we see that celebration of different weeks for open science, including International Open Access Week. It is being held in every year in October. This year we are having from 19th to 25th October. We also see that International Open Access Week, this is being held in every year in March, and International Data Week, it held in November. So we see that different directories or registries are available for accessing or knowing about open access resources, including Open Door or repositories, DOAJ for open access journals and repositories, registry, and there is also registry for research data repositories, re3data.org. And we see that growth of open access policies adopted worldwide through roadmap. So roadmap stands for Registry of Open Access Repository Mandates and Policies. It includes that mandates of every research institutions across the world. And we can see that BRIC nations are prominent in the on the roadmap, where India 16 policy instruments are available. From Brazil, 26 policy instruments are available, and in total 69 policy instruments are available from the BRIC countries, that includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And this is a screenshot of Global Open Access Portal, where you can get access to different funding mandates, key organizations, and open access community for each country and each region. And we can compare our progress with other countries. We compared here with other big countries like Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa. DOAJ, ROAD, that is Directive of Open Access Scholarly Resources, and Open Door, and RD3 data, where you can see that India contributes significantly in the global proliferation of open access and open science. So there is one single gateway or search engine where you can see that open access research papers you can search. This website is called core.ac.uk. It offers seamless access to millions of open access research papers, enrich the collected data for text mining, and provide unique services to the research community. So it has also advanced search option where you can search by publisher or name of the repository. Like if you want to search ELIS, that is one global repository for LIS related literature, and that is self-archiving institutional repository, or sorry, subject repository, ELIS, where you can also self-archive your unpublished or published research results. And you can see that in core gateway, you can see India has recorded different repositories with this core and different journals also. And RE3data.org, that is for data repositories. So from India, we can see 51 open data repositories available. Those are linked with RE3 data, that is open data repository registry. And there is also one international initiative called Global Open Data for Agriculture and Nutrition, where India also prominently represents, and Godan members include 37 Indian partners. This is in sort of road directive of open access scholarly resources, where you can search by country also, and you can also click on the country and you can see which are the resources available from that country. India has around 2,600 resources or publications from accessible through road directory. And we know about the open access is global movement, and India is also part of this global movement. And in India, we are having Open Access India, that is Indian civil society actor or open science movement. And this Open Access India released Delhi Declaration on Open Access on 14 February 2018, that is almost 2 years from now. And this declaration marks 16th anniversary of Budapest Open Access Initiative. It has more than 20 signatories from the Global South. And for advocacy, we can see that emergence of different open access repositories like Sodhganga, that is for thesis and dissertations, and also you can see that emergence of institutional open access policies like Department of Science and Technology and Department of Biotechnology. They have one DBT, DST, open access policies, and also they launched that sciencecentral.in for the open archive, IR harvester for DST and DBT. DST, DBT institutions are harvesting their published knowledge through sciencecentral.in website. This is screenshot of Sodhganga. And to know about this UNESCO open access curricula for researchers and library schools, they made 9 modules. And these are freely available and downloadable online. And those are this curricula was launched in March 2015. So we know about National Digital Library of India, where which integrates contents from different Indian open access repositories, and this is a kind of metadata harvesting service, and it indexed more than 48 4,80,000 items. And we also know about NPTEL, National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning, that offers open courseware and open educational resources. And there is also ICSSR data service, and it provides access to open data, particularly which are generated by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And it also hosts NSS and ASI datasets generated by this ministry, National Sample Survey, and other surveys from the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So we know about the different rights for open licensing. One is copyright is not for open license, but Creative Commons are for open license. And there is also copyleft, another kind of licensing or author rights regime. So in open license, we have different open license like CCBI is common, and they have different derivatives like CCBI share alike, CCBY non-commercial, CCBI no derivative, and similar other combinations. So some open licenses they don't allow derivative of works. There some open licenses they allow share alike, that is as it is you have to share, and you have to share on commercial basis. Some licenses offer only non-commercial share. So there are kind of open access to closed access, and in some licensing term which is more open, and some license terms which are more closed. CCBI is more open, and CCBI, ND, NC are very close. They don't allow many things. So this is part of, you can see these attributes or these things in UNESCO Open Access curricula. You can download those materials and you can read all these things. So this is another example where how you can use reuse of the published content. That is, copy and publish is available for every license, every Creative Commons license, but in some licenses, most of the licenses attribution is required, and some licenses allow commercial use, some licenses allow modify and adopt, and some licenses allow change. So this way you have to maintain the Creative Commons license for your published work. So there is great importance of all metrics or article level metrics in scientific communication or research communication, because when you are publishing your material line mode, you are getting some recognition from different portals, different social media, and you can see impact of your published research through usage, that is number of downloads, number of views, peer review. If it is open peer review, you can get also expert opinion online. You can see through citations, particularly these all metrics. They count citations from Dimensions website. That is another open database for the scholarly literature. And all metrics also counts storage, links, bookmarks, and conversations. So conversations sometimes by number of tweet. So if you are publishing one article and it is tweeted by 100 tweets, then you will have more visibility, more all metric score. And also similarly, Facebook page share or mentioned in Reddit or blog, different blogs, different news items, readers on Mendeley or readers on Onote, and site you like. So these are different web services where readers can bookmark your research, published research. So one particular research item got 2,915 all metric score, and you can see that number of mentions in different outlets like blogs, Twitters, Facebook page, Wikipedia, and similarly other areas. So this is one recent publication, substantial undocumented infection facilities, rapid dissemination of facilitates the rapid dissemination of novel coronavirus. It was published in Science Journal in March 2020, and it received 14,500 Altmetric score within 1 month. So it is highly being impacted scientific community because it is this particular research article is being highly circulated among the researchers and also being communicated by the science communicators who are writing for the news articles or science blogs. So all they are talking about this particular research article. So we can see top 100 Altmetric scores articles in this particular website, altmetric.com, top 100, which was published in 2019. So this is the end of my presentation. In this presentation, I talked about how our research communication is getting impacted online mode, and when we are publishing in open access or we are practicing open science, then our